I'm Dr. Ashley.
And this is Sherry.
And this is From Her Point of View. Delivery.
So yes, so delivery for me was almost 3 days, give or take. Like time wise, no, but it went from Sunday to Tuesday. So she was born Tuesday morning. And I don't care how ready you think you are, you're not ready. When it starts to happen and you're like, okay, this is happening, like you could be as prepared as you think you need to be until symptoms and things start happening and you realize this baby is really coming. Like,
so what made you decide, okay, I think this is happening, let me go to the hospital?
I started spotting, but the baby was already a week late from the due date.
Okay.
So I started spotting. I called the doctor. I told them what was going on. And she said, well, you're scheduled to be induced. So just come in. This was a Sunday morning. Just come in. So I said, okay. So I came in, they checked my vitals and everything. And she's like, well, I'm not seeing any issues. It doesn't look like your baby's ready to come, even though you're scheduled to be induced. They decided to keep me anyway. So I got admitted. And I got admitted, went to the room, got settled in. I had the best nurse I could ask for. I mean, she was amazing. Her name is Kayla. I'll never forget her. She was absolutely amazing. So I went through my whole spiel about how I'm an old mom and, but it's in my chart. And this was my first baby. And, I wasn't nervous, but I was nervous. And she said, don't worry, I got you. We're going to get through this. It's going to be great. Okay. We were there for the first, they're like, okay, we're not going to induce you tomorrow. We're just going to start things today. Okay, fine. So we're there. They started the induction where they put the balloon in you and try to open up your cervix. That I was not prepared for because she said, oh, it's just going to be uncomfortable. I was crawling up the bed because I don't do pain. I was crawling up the bed because it hurt so bad. And this went on for probably 3 or 4 hours before they took it out. And she said, we're going to keep it in until you dilate at least 4 centimeters. And I'm like, but I'm at 0. Like nothing's happening. I'm at 0. So they put the balloon in to get the ball rolling per se. And so that thing was in me. And I told her, I don't know what you got to do. I told him, I don't know what you got to do, but you can get this out of me. Literally. Because I never felt something like that before, ever. And she said, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? And I told her it was a 10, and she had to get that thing out of me. Because if this is what's happening and it's supposedly opening up my cervix, like, you should have prepared me for this. And so she gave me some medicine to help me relax. And it really helped me relax and go to sleep. Okay, whatever. So that, once she gave me that, life was great. Life was great from there on. Once she gave me that medicine, like I was on cloud 9 for the entire duration of the delivery process. Labor and delivery was great from there. So she gives me the medicine, the balloon's still in me. I tell her, hey, it's been in here for a while. They went and checked. She's like, well, you're not quite 4 centimeters, but we're going to go ahead and take it out. So after about 4 or 5 hours, I'm still not really dilating. So they took the balloon out and then we just waited basically. Of course, you can't have food or anything. So it was just ice chips and popsicles from that point on. We went in at like 11 o'clock on Sunday. Nothing happened. Kayla was my nurse until 7 o'clock the next morning. When she left, I had day shift. They had me on Pitocin, which is supposed to help you to contract, to basically put you in labor. And the Pitocin was given to me, and consistently we were doing fine until day shift came on. And I remember them checking me and checking the baby's vitals and telling me that the baby's heart rate, I don't know if it was dropping or increasing, but something was happening with the baby's heart rate. And so they kept taking me off of it. Well, what they don't tell you is that when they take you off the Pitocin and they start you back on again, they have to start you at 0. So if they had you up to like a 10 or a 12, now you have to go back to 0, and they have to slowly increase it, over time to get it back up to where you were. The more Pitocin they give you, the stronger per se your contractions are supposed to get. Well, I don't feel it because the medicine was amazing. That went on for 8 hours, taking me off, putting me on, taking me off, putting me on. So then Kayla comes back and she's like, oh my goodness, I saw your name on the board. I was super excited. I told them I had to have you on my assignment because I had you the other night and we were going to do this together. And I said, I'm so happy to see you because today has been hell with these people in here because they don't seem like they know what they're doing. I specifically said I wanted no student in my birthing plan, and I got a student, but I was patient and she was patient with me too because they're waking you up constantly, coming to check your vitals. It was just nonstop, no sleep. And so when Kayla came back in, I told her what kind of day I had, and she said, I got you. And she made sure that I was able to sleep, and my Pitocin was given to me consistently. She kept a very close watch on my vitals to make sure I was okay and the baby was okay without taking me off of it. She consulted with my doctor, which I don't think the day shift people actually did that. They just saw it dropping and they would come in the room and just take me off of it. And so she was just amazing. And I really thank God for her because if it was anybody else, I don't think that I don't think it would have been as good as it was. She understood me. She had me when I first came in. She made a promise to help me get through this. And she was so patient, absolutely so patient. And so fast forward, she's there. And it is Monday night. And like I said, she was very patient. She would come in and check on me. She would kept increasing my Pitocin, asking me how my pain was. The entire right side of my body was dead. Like I could not feel my leg. Like I would touch it. And
this was Monday, right?
This was Monday. Yeah. This was Monday.
So when I was there on Monday and I was picking your leg up to move it,
I couldn't feel it. Can't feel nothing. Yeah.
I didn't know you couldn't feel it. I just thought it was. I didn't.
Yeah. The leg, the entire leg was dead. It was like it wasn't there, but I could move my other leg, and so it was just weird because they would go to turn me and I couldn't move because I'm like, I can't feel the bottom part of my body.
Right.
So they did I did the balloon, not the balloon, looks like a, I don't want to say looks like a nut, but it looks like it's a ball, but it's not a ball. And they kept putting it in between my legs and moving me around. And, people were calling and checking on me. And like I said, I had friends who have children who would call and ask me how I was. And they would give me advice, try this, tell them to try that. And Kayla was really, really good. So fast forward, it was about a little after 12. I told her that I could start to feel pain in my stomach, like discomfort. And so she said, well, I can have the anesthesiologist come back in and check you. But let's check and kind of see where your contractions are. I mean, where your, not my contractions, because they were consistent and we were on top of that, but how far along I was dilated. So she left and she came back in like 45 minutes later and she checked me and she said, it was probably a little longer than that. But when she came in and checked me, she said, you're at 10 centimeters. I popped up out that bed, looked over at her dad and said, get up. It's time to go. Baby is coming. Because we were there for so long and nothing was happening. It was just the waiting game and getting on a Pitocin, getting off the Pitocin, and then just going back to nothing, having contractions, to not having contractions, not being able to eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus because people were coming in and out of the room. And it was just a lot. So when she said I was at 10, I said, let's get this ball rolling. She said what I want. So she gloved up. She said, I want you to push so I can see where the baby is. And sure enough, her head was right there. And she said, no, stop pushing. We gotta go get the doctor. So we waiting for the doctor to come. They page her, waiting for her to come get her situation together, gloved up, gowned on. I put on my favorite Pandora radio station, which is Young Jeezy. And we got the pushing. And it was 4 sets of 4 pushes. And she came out.
Okay.
Now, I tore, which I didn't even know because I didn't feel anything. Pushing, it felt pressure, but I didn't feel anything. And so it wasn't until after the fact that she told me that I tore. But once I pushed her out and that placenta came out, I popped my head up and I was like, what is that on the table? And she said, that's your placenta. And I meant to mention this before when I said advocate, ask questions. They say, oh, you should encapsulate it and take it home. I saw that placenta. I said, oh, hell no. She said, no. She said, remember, you wanted to eat that. I said, oh, no, that's not possible. She said, I told you. So that placenta was gone wherever it was going to, because no. She stitched me up, and I got to hold my baby, and I just remember passing out. And that was that. I passed out until they told me to get ready to go to my suite. And that was all she wrote. And I don't even remember falling asleep. Her dad took pictures of me holding her and just laying in the bed, and you could tell like it was a time. Like, I don't think I realized how much it was and how exhausting it is to give birth to a baby until I saw that picture of me sprawled out, just gone. So yeah, but it was a very good labor and delivery experience. And so for that reason, I feel like I could do it again. But the second time around might not be the same.
All of them, they're different. Each child is different. So,
and I know for you, it was different too, because like you said, being pregnant younger.
Yeah.
Because
so
what?
With your experience of being in the hospital Sunday to Tuesday, when I had my first child, it was President's Day. I'm sitting on the couch talking to my dad about how tired I am of being pregnant, and my water breaks.
See, I never got that experience of my water breaking, because if it did break, I didn't know.
I'm like, what is going on? So,
right.
And then I go in 12 hours later, bam, Jade is here.
Yeah.
No tearing, and we're gonna have to talk about that. But I had an episiotomy with her. And mind you, that was 17 years ago. And they don't as readily do those anymore. They're more likely to let you go ahead and tear. And we won't
explain episiotomy to those who don't know what it is.
So where you had explained that you tore, and I think that was you had a 2nd degree tear, right? So instead of it being like a straight tear down, it kind of tore off to a side. With me, I got an episiotomy where they actually cut down so that her head could come out. Yeah. And my husband's in there saying it sounded like they were tearing jeans. That's what the cut sounded like.
Oh my goodness, no.
But I mean, like, just even like sitting there with you on that Monday while we were waiting on her, it's fascinating because just to watch her heart rate and everything on the screen, and to watch the contractions on the screen and watch how her heart rate changed with the contractions and all of that. I didn't do that with myself. I didn't watch those things with myself because everything progressed really, really quickly. Right. And then with the episiotomy, when they sew you up, and they sew you up with the tears too, but when they sew you up, and then I just had that straight line, it was just not
Yeah, and so that goes back to what we were saying earlier about being my doctor she said nothing about the possibility of tearing. I didn't even think that I would until I did. And I didn't even realize that I did until she said, oh, by the way, you tore. Mm-hmm. And she's just down there stitching me up. And I remember her saying, this is kind of tricky the way she was doing it. And I can't feel anything, but the way that I tore, she couldn't fully get it. Like she couldn't fully stitch it up properly. And so she just basically packed it and was like, we'll check on it in a couple of hours. Mm-hmm. But we got to kind of stop the bleeding. And I think that her being knowledgeable, and now that I'm thinking back on it, if she wasn't where she was in her experience, I probably could have bled out because I was bleeding so much. Mm-hmm. And she just knew what to do and how to kind of fix it so that I didn't bleed out, because women do bleed out. And I had issues with iron. My iron was low the last 3 or 4 months of my pregnancy, so I had to get infusions. I was hoping and praying that I did not have to get a blood transfusion, but I knew that would have been a possibility, so I thought about that. But the whole tearing thing, it didn't even cross my mind until it happened. And it's not fun. I'm sure it wasn't fun for you getting cut and then getting stitched back up, because that aftercare process is some shit. Okay? That's what they don't talk about. And I wish somebody would have said, oh yeah, after you give birth, whether you tear or not, and it's not, everybody's experience is different. Some people just pop the baby out and go on with life and things are great. That wasn't my experience. And I didn't complain because, like I said, the labor, delivery, the pregnancy, everything was great. But that aftercare was something else. And I have a friend who has 5 kids. And she told me, she said, Sherry, after you have the baby, the things that will come out of your body will be unbelievable to you. And the things that will change about you, you wouldn't even believe it. And I was like, what? And she said it took me almost a year with her last pregnancy. It took her almost a year to kind of feel normal again on the physical aspect. Not just like the way that she looked, but like down there. And I was like, girl, bye, whatever. But
the way that she looked?
Not the way that she looked, just like
felt?
How it felt. Just
wow.
How it was just different for her with her last pregnancy. And I don't know if she tore or not, but she was just like, and I mean, we can get graphic, but it's a lot of bleeding. It was a lot of bleeding for me. It was a lot of clotting. They never talked about what it would be like after you give birth to a baby. Like what happens to your body, the things that are going to come out of your body, how your body as a woman is going to try to cleanse itself. No one talked about those things. Yeah, no one talks about it. And so that part to me was a bit alarming. I remember calling my doctor and asking her, like, is this normal? And she said, yes, it is. And I wanted to say, well, why come we never talked about it? How come we didn't go over this part of the process? Because this is freaking me out. But she said, no, it's very normal. Everything that's happening to you is supposed to happen to you. You're fine. Okay, but they don't talk about it. So you have that. I tore, you had an episiotomy. And then with your second baby, completely, totally different experience.
That needs an episode in itself. Just the fact that he decided he was going to come when he wanted to come and decided to be born before we even got into the hospital. We'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah, let's put that on some ice.
We'll give him his own episode. But with the first one, when you were talking about all the things that change and how, the things that are coming out and how you'll be standing in the shower and like a huge clot will just go and just hit the floor.
Fall right out. And you're like, okay.
Because the body is healing. We had a significant trauma there.
Yeah.
And then the fact that you actually have to deliver the placenta. I don't even think that was actually communicated to me. Like you push out the baby and then you actually have to deliver the placenta too.
Right. I don't, Well, I mean, I knew it was coming out afterwards, just from experience at this age, right? At this age, I knew these things. But again, the way they had that pain medicine set up, I didn't feel nothing, like nothing. So even when the placenta came out, I had to ask, like, well, where is it? And she said, it's right there. And I'm like, it came out. And she's like, yeah, remember you wanted to eat it. I was like, yeah, I changed my mind.
Oh my goodness.
But I didn't have that. But I am not one who tolerates pain very well.
Yeah.
So I think that the setup and the way that things happened for me was just very ideal. Now, my sister did not have the same experience, and I hope to be able to get her on to the podcast.
We should talk about that with her.
To kind of talk about her experience and how it was very different. And although we advocated for her, both me and my older sister, she did not have the proper care or concern that I had when I was giving birth to my baby. And I actually felt bad about it because I had a great experience. Like I had an amazing experience. And I just remember being on the phone with her through video and just seeing the agony with her. Just the medicine not working, them not listening to her trying to advocate for herself with what she wanted, and them basically telling her no, they weren't going to honor her wishes. Like, she's the one that has to give birth to this baby, not you. This is your job, and I don't give a damn that your shift is about to end. We need to get things aligned properly or get somebody else up in here. But yeah, I really hope that we can get her on and she can kind of talk through that experience, because it wasn't the same. And I think that if it was the same for her, it just would have been so much better. Like, so much better. And I don't know if she tore or anything like that. I just know that when it came down to pain, she was in pain. When it came down to discomfort, she was uncomfortable. When it came down to them listening to her, they weren't listening to her. There wasn't one person that came into my room that did not know that there was a birth plan and that there was not so much rules, but requests that needed to be abided by. And everybody pretty much went by that. And if there was a time where maybe I was sleeping or whatever, her dad made sure that he told them, this is what we're not, don't come in here with all that noise. You know, this is a peaceful environment. This is what we are asking. And everybody really stuck to that. Whereas though my sister did not have that same experience.
That makes a difference.
Very different.
Especially if you go through the trauma with her. I don't know her experience yet, but just going through the trauma of giving birth and all the pain that she went through. And then to go through the trauma of being a first-time mom. And we're going to talk about that too, because it slaps you in the face. People can tell you their experience and they can give you advice and everything, but until you walk in those shoes, you do not know the commitment that you have undertaken.
Right.
And how much it will consume of you. And to have gone through all of that and then to be bam, like straight into the next part of it. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think like we could definitely make a checklist. And I told her, I said, we should sit down, you know, being moms at this age and being more mature about the situation. Not saying that young moms are not mature about being pregnant and having a baby.
It's different.
The concerns that we had as older moms and, you know, watching other moms was a lot different than if I was having a baby at 19, having a baby at 22, having a baby at 27. It's just totally different. Your body's different. Your mind is different. Your priorities are different. A lot of things are not talked about or considered in the realm of being pregnant and really having to have this baby. What goes on before, during, and after is totally different. It's mind-blowing almost. And so I remember talking to one of my friends, and she had a baby. She's a lot older than me, but I remember she had a baby when she was 19, and she came out and said, "Girl, I popped that baby out so quick." And these are her exact words. "I popped that baby out so quick, and I was back in the club the next week." She said, "I didn't have all these concerns that you had." And the conversation came about because my daughter needed to be nursed. And I said, I have to step away because she wants milk. And she said, girl, I was not breastfeeding no baby. And then to her turn around, again, she's a little bit older, turn around, she got pregnant. She got pregnant at 39. Mm-hmm. And well, her daughter is older now, a little bit. I think her daughter is like 11. But she said, even then, I was not concerned about the whole, like all the things that you are over here obsessed about. She said, even with my second baby, I just wasn't doing that. Because I got to be out here in these streets, is what she said. I said, okay. So you was really in the streets at 20, and then you got pregnant at 39, and then you was back in the streets. The mentality wasn't there, but the baby was happening. But things were just, it didn't change for her. And I think that if I had a baby in my 20s and then had a baby in my 40s, my outlook would be different. The way that I handled things would be different because you should be more mature about it.
Well, look, we can't judge anybody's journey. Everybody's journey is their own journey. She wouldn't be in the streets at 19 and at 39. That's her business.
And still in the street.
And, you know, baby got to do the best they can, you know?
Oh my goodness. And her daughter is so smart. I'm like, good for her because she's practically raising herself. But yeah, it's different. It's definitely different. So little mama is here and she is amazing. She's my entire everything. I'm totally obsessed with her. And I would not change this experience and this opportunity for nothing in the world.
Oh,
because I love her. I just love her. And I have my days. Some days are easier than others. And at first it was very challenging emotionally, just trying to deal with life. And just being a new mom. And I still have my days now, but I look at her and she smiles and she plays and she's walking now. And it's just not something that can be replaced. It's priceless.
And this is something that you wanted for your life, right? You wanted to be a parent.
I toggled back and forth. Like, okay. It was like I wanted to be a mom because I felt like I would be a good mom. But then it got to the point where I'm 35 and it never happened. And I said, you know what? If it doesn't happen, I'm okay with it. And I was truly okay if it did not happen, or so I thought. But now having her and having these experiences, I don't know if I would have been okay if she wasn't like I'm loving this. Even the hard days, I'm loving every moment of it. And I don't know what life would have been like now without her. People used to say that, and I'm just like, what? But I get it. Like I don't know what my life would be like if I didn't have her. I don't even want to know what it would be like having her. Like she is it for me.
That is amazing.
Like things have been redirected. My mind is different. It's a lot clearer. People would say, what's the saying? Oh, I have something to live for. I felt like I had a lot to live for before, but it's redirected now in a more positive way. And so with her, she's giving me that. She's giving me a different outlook. And yes, I have her to live for. But I think I would have been fine without it, but I'm glad that I don't have to be. Like, I'm glad that I have her.
That's really beautiful. It really is. Because I absolutely love my children. But I would have been all right. Just Ashley. Would have been okay for me.
And you've said that in the past.
No, yeah. That would have been okay for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been okay. I think it would have always played back in the back of my mind, not having the opportunity to be a mom.
You would have wondered the what ifs.
Right. And it's not even just to be a mom. Now that I have her, it's to be her mom. She makes this so much better. Like, I'm happy that I am her mom.
That's sweet. I'm telling you, from my perspective, it has been a journey to watch, and I have loved watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I really have.
Yeah. Your
So,
little goddaughter.
in the next installment, we're going to talk about life as a new mom through the first year.
Yes. And a lot has transpired in that time frame.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. And yeah.
You've been listening to From Her Point of View. You can find this episode and more on your favorite podcast platforms. Share what you've heard with your family and friends. You can follow on Facebook and Instagram, where you can leave a comment or question. Leave a voicemail at 443-507-8032. Email at fromherpointofviewllc@gmail.com. For your coaching needs, please visit aktcoaching.com. That's AKT-coaching.com. And email at akt@akt-coaching.com. Thank you again for your support and for listening to this episode of From Her Point of View.